Hello there, traveler. As always, you take a moment to gather where you're at. Taking a moment to experience the sensations of your body. Understanding where the path is at this time and place. Cracks and creeks included. You could be lost in the jungle, deep in a forest surrounded by the trees and impending darkness. You could be descending the stairwell, pulling books down off of the dusty shelves as you go farther and farther down the descent, finding the more taboo and forbidden secret magics bundled up within those dusty old spines. The fun part about that magic is usually just telling you not to be a dick. There are so many different times and spaces that we could be cohabiting in. These are just hard realities that we accept ourselves with. We like to think that we are under some illusion of control over what time and space we can inhabit. I mean, if you have figured that out, that'd be really cool, let me know. But the reality is that oftentimes, it doesn't matter where I walk down on the path. I have to accept where I'm at on the path to be able to move forward on it. I don't have that control over time and space, but I have the control over when I can take that moment to stop and actually take a moment to be here and figure out how to move forward from here. It's even harder when in those loud moments, those quiet moments, where everything feels so heavy, where you think you're doing everything right, but you can't get anything out at all. Or when everything is so scary that simply getting out of bed feels like the heaviest task in the world. It's the same as in the light moments. When you're off daydreaming, fantasizing about planning a romantic escape. When you're off thinking about how to dash off to the woods. When you're taking a mind to let go of the work responsibility and just sit there and talk to someone and learn about them for a moment. As long as we are here, we have the opportunity to experience. Not just control and dictate, but we do have the ability to help build with intention. And it all comes from taking that simple time to be one moment, listen to all the crazy sounds around us, accept that we are not alone here. There are other weird-ass people here doing things with us. And sometimes you get the great joy of getting down to sit and read a book with them. Luckily, traveler, today I'm joined by the beautiful, the magnificent, the truly resilient in the face of existential leg pain. My leg, Sam Jenkins.
Sam Jenkins. I have a whole new identity. For some reason, okay, there was that sound that came through recently that sounded like a mosquito, but like
a loud one
on
that was like super far away, or yeah.
And I thought you were gonna call me a mosquito, and I was gonna be like, yeah, I'm a mosquito.
I have yet to experience you drink my blood.
That's fair.
I'm not saying for the summer or summer equinox that we can't talk about it.
Someone must be the sacrifice.
I don't need to make my next comment. That's all I'll say. I know when to self-censor.
No thoughts.
No thoughts.
No thoughts today.
No thoughts today.
Oh, yeah. Hello, traveler. Welcome to our chaotic fire today. Thank you for sitting down as usual. It's wonderful to have you here, Tall, and experience a moment together.
It really, it's honestly, this is probably the first time I've recorded in nearly 2 weeks. It's been an insane 2 weeks of just a lot of emotional vulnerability and navigating some pretty interesting spaces. And like always, there's more work to do. And I know that the different spaces that we've been going through are different, but we've been definitely going through some pretty extreme experiences in our own right. But I'm really proud of, I want to take a moment to acknowledge of just us to be able to be here and have no thoughts and cohabit the space. I love you very much, and I'm grateful for your friendship, compassion, and companionship on this journey.
I love you very much. I'm very grateful to have you here. And it is almost the anniversary of you and Danny moving up here. Almost a whole year ago, I forced you to move up to Washington.
Yeah, what a hell of a year it's been.
What a hell of a year it has been.
Oh, and I can talk about, right, because I know when this episode's coming out, it will be after this weekend. So I can talk about how, like, in that year that, like, I get to now, like, take my fiance on a date to the to waterfalls to celebrate 420 and just get baked out of our mind and enjoy nature. Something that was not accessible to us for so many different reasons, because of where we lived, because of the state of our relationship, because of our own individual mental health, because of where our work was, because of all these different things and all these different stretches that we had to navigate. Now we gotta get a day of fucking off with my best friend.
It's the way to do it.
It's a good time. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you forced us to move here. I get the opportunity to be, truly exploring my queer identity and really understanding who I am as a person, and it really accelerate my deconstruction. I get the opportunity to really now enjoy these queer spaces and form new connections and grow what those things look like. I get the opportunity to understand what it means to be a princess, which is something that I've always wanted to be able to understand in myself, right? I get the understanding to learn how to, like, listen, which is not something I've been good at.
I'm very proud of you for how far you've come with that and working on your interpersonal relationships and yourself. That's hard. It's
like you said, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of presence, and thank you for all the ways that you've assisted in that journey. I know there's only such a small segment that we actually get on audio, but I just want all the few travelers that listen to us,
our marshmallow buddies.
Yeah, exactly. To really acknowledge, I want them just to know that how grateful I am for you. How you have blessed both me, my fiance, our family, and like just I can say for like how we came over last weekend, right, and just had hot dogs and watched Taylor Swift and the update. Just having that quiet space and being able to have a community to live with means the world to me. And you are truly one of my best friends. I appreciate you.
I'm so glad that you're here. I'm gonna cry. Ow! I'm gonna cry.
I'll break your other leg. I swear to fucking God.
Please do.
I'll make you feel.
Feel something. Call me your fairy godmother.
You're my fairy godmother.
There you go. Oh my gosh. It's gonna be on your name on your phone.
Yeah, I can change it if you want. Sure. I can be cute about it. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to go through in this deconstruction, right? Is like actively to be the most cute, wholesome horror I can be, so.
That's the goal. That's the goal in life. But honestly, I'm truly thankful to have you here and to have had an opportunity and continue to have opportunities to grow our friendship and be able to explore other sides of ourselves that we normally wouldn't, and learn different ways to accept those new sides of ourselves and how we can implement this into our daily life. And I think you've been doing an incredible job at all the self-growth that you have been through, to be able to be in a space where you can accept the better things in life and you can see it from all sides and not just one side. And I'm very grateful that you have become one of my best friends in life.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The only thing I can say as traveler is show up for the people who help you feel normal about the scary thoughts in your head and work through them in a non-shame way, because those people end up being some of the nicest people you could ever meet in life.
Amen.
You don't need to keep referencing my silly childhood tattoos.
One might say that having those folks around you kind of creates like a natural liberation through recognition of the visual indications of life. However, we're going to bring it down a notch.
Yeah, we're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about accepting reality for what it is.
Correct, which means we're going to acknowledge and recognize and learn about the visual indications and signs of death in terms of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Bardo Thodol. So...
No, I think that as we get into what these it's really going to be interesting, right? As we haven't really read ahead, but except of some of the chapter headings or the little breakdowns, and just knowing that we're going from a really mystical place, right, into a place of a lot more graphic description potentially here.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to, like I said, challenge the narrative of like how do we accept reality for where it's at to be able to move forward is kind of that little mentioned meditation I brought into it. And I think I'm really excited just as in trying to be an objective learner and just trying to see what these next 11 or so pages that we're going to read says to us.
I am very excited to kind of get a different perspective on how the visual indications and signs of death are interwoven into a way of celebration almost and encouragement to move your spirit into these different planes of existences, right? Yeah.
Good save and saying spirit and not soul, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you.
There is no soul in Buddhism.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah.
There's not. Oh, yeah. Okay. High five, Internal Sam. Sometimes there's thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, there were thoughts.
Your light touches light.
Yeah. Light touches light. E.T. phone home. So for context, since the human body is regarded as an abode of deities, it is the responsibility of the practitioner to protect the body from the causes of harm, disease, and premature death, and to foster the conditions which support an active and unencumbered life up to the natural exhaustion of the lifespan. So this chapter will be describing 6 categories of signs indicative of time of death, together with a variety of techniques for purposefully eliciting specific indications of death. So, trigger warnings, I guess. If you're in a sensitive space to not listen to actual death, then, you know what, maybe this is your moment to take a pause and come back later. And
I will take a moment, as someone who recently did experience not a non-human loss, but still a loss in their household, I wanted to emphasize that death is one of those things in a lot of ways that is really hard to accept. It is not pretty a lot of the times. And there isn't a proper emotional reaction to it. And I want to really emphasize that point. Your reaction to something as traumatic, one way or another, as a positive thing or a negative thing, of a life ending, is valid. Your experience is your experience of it. Take the time you need to navigate that and respond to it is ultimately still your responsibility in that moment, in my opinion.
Death is hard. Taking that time to navigate it is what I mean by your responsibility. Give yourself that space to be in disbelief, to be in anger, to be in reaction. That's how you're able to navigate it and show up with it with compassion, right? Because anyone who's going through these spaces who might have some difficulty, then please don't be afraid to not listen to this episode. There is no easy way to approach it than trying to radically accept it. And taking that time to be in that space is a difficult thing to do. And it's something you should only approach when you feel like you're comfortable with. Absolutely. Could not have said it better myself. Later on, we'll also get into a section that describes signs of extremely near death. They are the experimental and outer signs that occur during the process of dying. Lastly, signs that are indicative of the nature of the future rebirth, which occur at or after death, they are also described. This chapter and the following chapter, Natural Liberation of Fear Through the Ritual Deception of Death, are inextricably interlinked. Should be predictive signs described in this chapter definitely arise, then it is expected that the appropriate practices described in the following chapter, Natural Liberation of Fear Through the Ritual Deception of Death, should be undertaken without delay. The sophisticated description of the process of dying contained in the section Signs of Extremely Near Death concurs with the understanding of the process of death commonly found in classical Buddhist literature. This section forms a component of the liberation by hearing, and it is a vital aspect of the guidance to be given by a qualified spiritual teacher at the time of death. We are not qualified teachers.
Yeah, let's really emphasize that.
Emphasize that.
I understand the intention if you might want to be playing this one at someone's point of near death. I would not do it at the advice of any kind of spiritual guidance.
This is not our place of qualification.
I've done everything I can to be literally academically and arguably professionally qualified for this, and I am not qualified for this at all.
No.
This is an interpersonal connection that you should have, and if you are a lifelong devout Buddhist, please seek whatever monastic support you would need in that situation, right? Don't be afraid if you want to leave a comment and say like, hey guys, you need some resources. It would be best to find you some resources, but we don't want to be your spiritual teachers here. We just want to be transmissionners of information and understanding.
We'll take resources. We love learning.
Yeah.
Every day we love learning.
Honestly, we just love an email at some point.
Yeah. Which kind of leads to the predictive signs of death, however, are more idiosyncratic and show influences from Tibetan folklore and traditional medicine. Further, in terms of the predictive signs of death, it is said that the subtler signs described here can only be accurately recognized by those who are continuously engaged in meditative practice. The elicitation and analysis of the predictive signs is not a common practice today, except in the case of certain signs, in the context of traditional medicine. Nonetheless, this text demonstrates a powerful sensitivity to impermanence and a sustained sensitivity to one's immediate experience. Herein is contained the natural liberation through recognition of the visual indication and signs of death, an abstract from the peaceful and wrathful deities, a profound sacred teaching, entitled Natural Liberation Through Recognition of Enlightened Intention. I bow down to the naturally radiant, peaceful, and wrathful deities, manifestations of the three Buddha bodies. This natural liberation through the recognition signs, which is a technique for analyzing the onset of death, is presented as a supporting text to the natural liberation by hearing in the intermediate states. Study it repeatedly, O child, the Buddha nature, Samaya. Tal, would you like to read the introduction?
Thank you. Introduction. Alas, this illusory and feeble aggregate of form, created from compounded past actions and conditions, like the flame of a butter lamp blowing in the wind, cannot last forever. Nothing exists which is not subject to the condition of death, and indeed, since it is uncertain when death will occur, one should constantly be cognizant of the signs of impending death, and strive after the accumulation of virtue. There are two primary conditions responsible for the death of human beings. First, untimely death, and second, death due to natural exhaustion of the lifespan. Ultimately, or sudden death may be averted by successful application of ritual deception of death. But due to the natural exhaustion of the lifespan, it is like the burning out of a butter lamp. So there is no way of averting this through ritual deception. And thus, if this is indicated, one should make preparations to depart. In either case, however, it is most important to engage in the following analysis. This teaching on the visual indications of the signs of death is presented in terms of 6 general topics, namely external, internal, and secret signs of death, signs of remote death, signs of near death, and lastly, miscellaneous signs of death. When investigating the time of death, first one should make offerings to the visualized assemblies of the spirit teachers, meditational deities, and dakinis, and please the protectors of the sacred teachings with a torma offerings. Then one should present feast offerings to one's fellow practitioners and also engage in charitable acts. Then the signs of death should be examined in the following way.
External signs of death. First, when the examination of external signs is made, it is the bodily characteristics that should be investigated, because the signs of death will arise in relation to these characteristics. The body is composed of the 4 elements, thus the following portents of its demise will arise prior to the time of death: loss of appetite, dullness of the sense faculties, the feeling of anger which consumes body, speech, and mind, distracted or depressed thoughts, disturbed dreams, character changes, and fading complexion. These are the portents indicating that life-threatening hindrances may arise. More particularly, there are the following specifically physical signs of death. If the fingernails and toenails become bloodless or lusterless. Okay, so we're about to get real descriptive. This is your hard stop. This indicates death after 9 months, less than half a day. If the cornea of the eyes begin to cloud over, this indicates death after 5 months. If the hair on the nape of the neck grows upwards, this indicates death after 3 months. Then again, more generally, if one urinates, defecates, and sneezes simultaneously.
Oh.
That sounds awful.
I think I've done that.
Oh no!
It was hurt, though. I understand the pain of it, but
yeah?
I think I've done that.
This, too, is an indication of death. So I'm glad that you have not died and you are still here.
No, maybe I did die. What is here, Sam?
That's true. Also, if one's urine falls into forks, if one's muscles become utter... Don't look at me there.
I've had that happen, too.
Are you okay?
It's just... Okay, not to get too TMI here, but, like, after, intimacy with someone, when there's stuff in the stream, like, it'll fork.
It's true.
Yeah, like, it's post-sex, like, like, stream is a thing.
Mm-hmm. Stream is a thing.
Yeah. I just wonder if if it's written by monastics that really don't engage in, I don't know. That's an interesting one for it to be a sign of death.
It really is.
Huh.
If one's muscles become utterly loose and flabby, if feces are excreted and semen ejaculated simultaneously, oof.
A blumpkin.
There's a name for it?
Yeah, it was even in, like, not super bad, but something like that. They joked about it, where it's about when you blow someone on the toilet.
Yeah. I know what movie you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my god. If one's body odor changes dramatically.
That's just after workout.
Yeah. If one's conduct changes dramatically. If one blushes little and one's complexion becomes pallid. If the tone of one's voice becomes thin and one's eyes become sunken. If the space above the bridge of the nose becomes exfoliated, if the eyes do not clearly perceive forms, or else if they perceive incorrectly, and so forth. If the ears do not hear or else hear incorrectly, if the nose does not smell or else smells incorrectly, if the tongue does not taste or else tastes incorrectly, you might have COVID. If the point between the eyebrows is effaced, or evaporation ceases from the crown of the head. These signs may all indicate that one has fallen into the hands of the Lord of Death. Furthermore, while in good health, the following technique for eliciting indications can also be applied. If, when the closed eyes are pressed with the fingers, the minute circles of light which appear are absent from the lower part of the left eye, this indicates that one may die after 6 months.
What?
Right?
Have you ever done that?
Mm-hmm.
That's such a specific thing to call out.
It really is. Oh my god. But if they are absent from the upper part of that eye, one may die after 3 months. If these same circles are absent from the direction of the left nostril, this indicates that one may die after 1 month. If they are absent from the direction of the left ear, this indicates that one may die after 2 months. Resuming this process, focusing on the right eye. If the circles are absent from the lower part of the right eye, one should know that one may die after 10 days. If they are absent from the upper part of the right eye, this indicates that one may die after 5 days. If they are absent from the direction of the right ear, this indicates that one may die after 3 days. And if they are absent from the direction of the right nostril, one should know that one may die after 2 days, even if one is not sick. Secondly, if when the ears are cupped with the fingers, no humming sound is heard throughout an entire day, one should know that one might die after 6 years. If it is absent for 2 days, one may die after 6 years less 2 months. Similarly, for each additional day that the sound is absent, this indicates that one may die decrementally after 3 fewer months. That is, if the sound is absent for a third or fourth day, death may come after 3 or 6 fewer months, respectively. It has also been said that the number of days indicated might not necessarily be definite. There are also other external signs of death, such as if one feels continuously angry and short-tempered, if one feels fearful wherever one may be, if one's positive perspective, devotion, and similar qualities ebb away, if one feels aversion towards saintly beings, if one feels depressed wherever one may be and constantly wishes to go elsewhere, if one wishes to be separated from sympathetic Buddhist companions, if one delights in the social diversions and distracting activities of cyclic existence, or if one feels excessive attachment, aversion, pride, or envy. These may all indicate that one has fallen into the hands of the Lord of Death. These, the above, are called the external signs of death, which it is said can be averted by the ritual deception of death. The techniques by which they are averted should be studied by referring to the ritual deception of death, chapter which follows.
Okay, so let me put on my 5D conspiracy cap real quick.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, just trying to understand from the perspective of maybe not death of just being a purely physical thing, right? Mm-hmm. But something that essentially, let's take the notion of like quantum immortality, right? Every moment of that is an infinite version of yourself, right?
Okay.
So essentially you're constantly dying, right? You are essentially going through it. And like I talked about my transition, right? Essentially, you've killed a version of myself, right?
Yeah.
To become someone new, right? What if they're talking about like this weird like spiritual like death that you're talking about, like that like you constantly go through these things and like it takes you to like this energetic state of where your being is essentially going through this experience of death. And essentially these are all these different ways of keeping you in a state of living being, right?
Ooh.
So that you are literally now every time that you're like, for instance, like I've had sex and I have had a postpartum stream that's split into 2, right? And then I've died now 6 months later, right? Maybe for whatever reason that, and I've gone through exactly now this version of this change, and now because I've gone through these different energetic states.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this is not my belief system. I don't know if this speaks for any kind of like Buddhism or anything like that. And I do not want to put any kind of indication of that or anything like that. But like that's where when you say that to me and something like that, I take it into that perception, right? Of this continual list, like basically of these very mundane things, and like you're talking about cupping your ears and hearing humming. Like, are you talking about tetanus, tinnitus, or something, or tinnitus? Sorry, not tetanus, tinnitus, right? At that point, then, right? Like these just understanding of it like that, or like when you see like the light, and everything like that. If like you're saying because I see it in this corner, now I'm going to die in 4 days. Like, but what if you actually go through like this, like I don't know, like if it was real, right, and that was an actual thing, like what if you're continually going through this literally cyclic version of your own span of dying?
No. Oh God, excuse me. And then there's the ritual that you do to try to erase that from your existence, right? And potentially,
yeah, that could be a way out through it. Yeah,
heal the body from whatever spiritual distress is happening on your consciousness. And your being, yeah. That's wild. That is just...
That's where my mind took it, yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's just continuously going now through this cycle over and over again of like literally like death and rebirth in the lifespan of those. I don't know. I know that's not exactly what the reading was intending to. And like if we were actually having a spiritual guide or a master here talk to us about these things,
it would be a little different.
We could actually have that conversation. Like, what does this mean? Like, why is it not like this then, right?
Yeah.
But like that's like just reading this text and everything like that. Like my mind wants to be like, why wouldn't we not just be in these continued cyclic like the cycle of death and rebirth quite literally then, right? If it is just these like if these indications are just that mundane of a thing, right? Or maybe no one's had a Blumpkin before when they're writing this book, right? Not to demonize it, but like seriously, like if coming in like shitting at the same time is the cause of death, then right? Like that's what it's saying at that point. not saying that's something I've actively or ever participated in, and actually, weirdly enough, I don't think that's something I've crossed off my list.
Oh, God.
But it's interesting, like, it's a sign of death, right? It's an external sign of death, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's just...
It's an interesting one.
How does the mind just not get, like, taken off into the weirdest left direction when you just hear the, like, oh, semen and pooping at the same time?
There.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm a 12-year-old.
Yep. No, but, like, I can understand how,
I'm so happy you read that, not me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have made it through that.
I know, the looks you were giving me was,
I was stopping, I was just like, huh.
Yeah, that was fun. But no, I can understand where it also kind of stems from getting the, it mentions how you have to do the meditation practices, right? And so I can understand how the meditation practices and, like, the rituals that you do help you feel better about these seemingly mundane symptoms, quote unquote, symptoms that we might be experiencing.
Yeah, what if I just, what if they're not symptoms to me?
Like,
what if they're just fine?
My life?
Yeah, like, that's the question then. Like,
Yeah.
what if I just, like, having a bumpkin? Like,
No. I'm over here thinking about cupping my ears, and you're like, bumpkin.
There was literally a line in there that went on semen and feces. It caught my attention. What can I say? That is something that's why I'm reading this book, is because it's something that catches my attention, right?
That's
and
your
like,
earworm.
I understand. I have tinnitus. I always hear the humming. That's something that's I don't get that warning sign of death. It's not in my external experience. I always have it.
I'm a walking death box.
Exactly. So, but tell me about this bumpkin. That was an actual part of this. I just am so flabbergasted that this was where I did not say to think this reading was going to go to.
You know,
that a bumpkin was a sign
level.
of death. Like, that is such a wild take to me.
Yep. Spiritual.
And so obviously it's such a wild take to me. I create a whole reality where you're continuously going through these cycles of death and rebirth in life because you had a fucking bumpkin.
Yep. You had a bowel movement and you came. What's the most
like, that's just a hard orgasm, or like pregnant, or like birth. That happens during birth sometimes. So you're talking like birth is a sign, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's just such a different level of understanding of conception of reality, of like just of like that is your true reality and that is how you perceive it, and it's like, I feel so bad for any kind of anal play then, like, 'cause it's just, you know, have you not? It's stuff slips out when you don't have douches, and in this time period they didn't have douches, right?
I'm just imagining this ages ago, right? And somebody's in the throes of passions, and then they poop themselves.
Exactly, and it's death now.
They're like, oh no,
I'm dying.
going to die.
Yeah. Of embarrassment, maybe, but...
Yeah, and then what if they figure out that they're not going to die, so they just keep doing it? And that's how pumpkin...
Immortality. That's the path to immortality.
I'd like to go wash my brain now.
Yeah.
If that's the answer to immortality, I'd like to go wash my brain.
I think that there is... Well, as someone who has actively, declared themselves down a pack of bhakti yoga is essentially their philosophy in life.
Yeah.
If it is not just celebration and rejoice, then Sam, and especially over the most embarrassing things, I think there's a 50-50 chance it's a blumpkin.
Oh my god. What has today turned into?
I think today's day 53 or day 52.
Day 84.
We're on different times right now. If you're on 84 and I'm on day 52.
There's no thoughts up here today, remember? I pulled it all together for these moments.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
That's an accomplishment.
Proud of you too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we just now circle jerking and giving each other compliments?
I think we are.
Okay. I don't think that makes for good radio.
I don't know. It might for somebody, but Traveler, if that's not for you, thanks for hanging out.
Appreciate it, y'all. Appreciate all four of you. We want to take a moment to especially recognize our AI overlords who are now are coming around the corner, ending impending day, through to give us the delicious sludge.
Always say thank you to Google and Alexa.
Yeah.
Siri.
But honestly, like, come on the podcast. We'd love to have an interview. Just out of selfishness to have a non-human. I would to talk to a non-human entity. Did you see that they talk to whales?
No.
Yeah, they used AI to talk to whales. Like, there's like that's one of the things. All the shit's going on in the world right now. Like, it's like scientists are actively talking to humpback whales right now in the Pacific.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
Hold on. We're going up. We're looking up real time right now.
Talking to whales.
20-minute conversation. Yeah. This is why I'm an animist, y'all. We're not the only things here with that are aware. I can talk to my cat.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
I don't use human language. Well, they actually understand human language a little bit better than I understand cat language, let's be honest.
Wow, that is extraordinary.
Yeah, like we're having intelligent conversations with other species at this point.
Oh my god,
And they're only talking about aliens with it. It pisses me off. They're only trying to talk about aliens with it. Like, let's talk about fucking the fact that we're talking about whales.
I don't want to talk about aliens. We can talk about aliens later. Let's acknowledge the whales first.
Literally. We gave them a month. Oh, no, we gave the sharks a month, so we need to give the whales a conversation at least.
Yeah. Oh, I want to talk to sharks.
I'd love to talk to sharks.
Yeah.
I mean,
I want to talk to a hammerhead shark. I feel like they have no thoughts.
What? Why?
like where I'm at, I feel like they're just floating around. They're like, food. they're jamming out to their own shark tune.
Why do you think that specifically of hammerheads?
I don't know. I love hammerheads. They're my favorite.
Do you think?
No, I
do you
know
think
that
that
they're
of great
intelligent.
whites?
I know every single.
Do you think
shark.
a great white is just going around?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is okay. I don't know, because like if I could talk to like my cat Bean, right? I think that she would be actively talking to me how she wants to kill like birds.
I saw this bird out there. It was a robin. It was singing a particularly loud song, and I did not like it. So let's devise.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like watching like complex behaviors out of animals is just it's fascinating.
And, oh my god, we saw 2 bald eagles flying around over there.
Eagle
for a walk. It was so cool. They were just soaring and soaring and soaring. Yeah. Speaking of animals and doing cool, complex things, when you're going in a vortex because they caught that very specific wind, you're just like, what?
I understand. Where are we at now, Sam? Where have we gone?
Talk about animals.
Where are we?
Well, traveler, we're a little lost today.
Yeah, we ended up stumbling through these woods, so we're going to take a moment. We're going to collect ourselves. We're going to come back to reality. And, no, we're not. We're just going to take another step farther down this descent into illumination. Mm-hmm. Remember, you are enough and you are loved.